The annual African Development Bank meeting held in Arusha, Tanzania wrapped up on Friday. Godfrey Mutizwa caught up with T.C.A. Ranganathan, Chairman and MD of Export-Import Bank of India, and asked him for his view on financing trade between India and Africa.
See, I'll paint the picture from the Indian end, not so much from the African end in the beginning.
Sure.
India started developing in a major way after liberalization 91-92. By 2000, our trade balance figures were that about 65 to 70% of our trade was with the developed part of the world, that is US and Europe.
Right.
And about 25 to 30% was with the emerging markets. Today, about 55% of the trade is with the emerging market countries and only 45% with the developed world, that is US and Europe.
Right.
This has happened alongside a significant increase in total trade growth within the economy. Our trade to GDP ratio was very low and our trade share in the whole world was less than 1%. In the last 10 years, it has gone up substantially and our trade figures on the rest of the world is about 1.75%.
Okay.
That is, our absolute trade has gone up by 0.75%. And the world trade also has gone up.
So almost a doubling. Now,
and in absolute numbers,
Yeah.
it has gone up from about 300 billion to about 700 billion now.
Right.
Within that, the share has gone up in the emerging market space from
What about
25 to
Africa's share?
45%.
What about Africa's
So,
share?
Africa's portion also has gone up significantly. And if you see that the total volume has gone up and the share has gone up, which means that all the growth is coming from emerging market, and Africa is a very important emerging market destination for us.
Yeah. In terms of now the trade that you're seeing between India and Africa, where is that money going and what sort of amounts are we talking about?
The destination countries are spread across Africa.
Sure.
The amounts, precise amounts, as I said, I have not properly studied right now, but in absolute numbers, since the exports have grown from little less than 120 million worldwide to about 300 billion worldwide, and 55% is to emerging markets, which means about 150 to 175 billion is going to the emerging market space.
Okay. So now here we are in Tanzania and the annual meetings of the African Development Bank. Now, you got some projects that you're financing here?
We have got a lot of financing interest here, and we basically finance infrastructure and capacity building programs. We have financed water supply programs in Tanzania. We have financed agriculture development programs. We have supplied tractors to Tanzania.
Yeah.
We have supplied vehicles to Tanzania. We are working intensively with governmental authorities in trying to further the Indian-Tanzanian relationship. And Government of India has announced that Africa is a focus continent. And the Prime Minister had announced in Addis last year that I must give $5 billion to Africa by way of lines of credit in the next 3 years. And Tanzania is a priority country.
Yeah. Now, as a foreign investor looking into Africa, perhaps not particularly Tanzania, but looking at the continent as a whole, what are some of the risk factors that you see, maybe emanating from some of the trades that you have funded? On
a macro front, on an aggregate basis, Africa is on the rise and growth has been uniform across. Some countries are showing a very rapid rate of growth, some countries are not showing so rapid rate of growth. Second thing which we have noticed is that corporate governance issues and the level of quality of governance has been improving on a year-to-year basis pan-Africa. Some of the countries in Africa are rated extremely high in doing business index. They are rated extremely high in the transparency index. The level of development pattern is differentiated. Not all countries are moving in the same space.
Sure.
But on a whole, Africa as a continent is on the rise.
Yeah.
And if this rate is maintained, in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll find a complete transformation in this economic political scene in Africa.
Are you saying that it's riskless to invest in Africa now?
I would not say it riskless. I've been telling my people that when you talk of Africa, don't talk of Africa, talk of 54 countries in Africa. And 54 countries have 54 cultural, legal and political systems which are different. And if you want to be a good investor, and Indian companies go as private sector investors, you have to gel within the system, and you have to be in harmony with the cultural, political environment and the economic environment. Otherwise, you land into a problem.
For sure. When you look at the trends and I'm trying to extrapolate that and get a sense of where perhaps money and investment could be going into the future, what sort of sectors do you see attracting Indian investment?
So if you see the growth, the Indian pattern of growth is slightly different from the Chinese pattern and the European pattern. We grew from the service sector orientation. India started growing because of entrepreneurial qualities of individuals came to the fore after the country liberalized and deregulated in 91-92. And entrepreneurs are what is driving Indian growth, and entrepreneurs are what is leading the Indian trade impact in Africa.
Right.
And entrepreneurs don't have a particular focus on a sector as such or a country as such. They go looking for avenues of doing business and doing good business. And wherever they find a space where they can grow and they can contribute and generate value, they try to settle down. In Tanzania, if you see, you find Indians across all spaces, from hospitality, number of hotels and number of restaurants, to transportation, to manufacturing, to logistics. So it's not one particular,
sectors.
It's all sectors. And it is individuals. There is no state effort driving them. So as an individual gets qualified and he develops a skill set, he looks for a market. And some of them find it in India, some of them find it in Africa. And the nature of market he finds, it depends on the space available in that sector, in that country.